Picture this. You've been following the same advice about eating protein your entire adult life. Maybe your doctor told you to eat more meat for strength. Maybe you've been drinking protein shakes to stay healthy. But groundbreaking medical research has just revealed something shocking that could change everything about how you approach nutrition after age 65. Here's the startling truth. The amount of protein that protects your health in your 40s and 50s might actually be harming you, and the amount that could hurt you in middle age becomes absolutely essential for your survival and vitality in your golden years. Today, we're going to explore research that has turned the nutrition world upside down. And by the end of our conversation, you'll know exactly how much protein you should be eating based on your age to live your longest, healthiest life possible. Let's get started. Welcome, friends. I'm here today to share some of the most important nutrition research that many doctors and health experts are just beginning to understand. What we're discussing isn't just about feeling good or having more energy, though those are wonderful benefits. We're talking about research that could add years to your life and life to your years. The topic is protein, but not in the way you've probably heard about it before. Most of us have been told the same story our whole lives. Protein builds muscle. More protein is better, and we need lots of it as we get older. But comprehensive medical studies have revealed something much more complex and fascinating. The amount of protein that's best for you actually changes dramatically at a specific age. And understanding this change could be one of the most important health decisions you make. We're going to look at studies involving thousands of people followed for decades, and the results will likely surprise you. Most importantly, I'm going to give you practical, easy-to-follow guidelines that you can start using today, regardless of your current age. Let me start by sharing a study that made headlines, but was widely misunderstood by the media. Researchers followed over 6,000 adults for nearly 2 decades to understand how protein intake affects our health as we age. What they found was remarkable. But the news reports got the story completely wrong. The headlines claimed that people under 65 who eat lots of meat, eggs, and dairy are 4 times more likely to die from cancer or diabetes. That's concerning enough, but the real numbers from the actual research are far more dramatic. Those eating large amounts of animal protein didn't have 4 times the risk of dying from diabetes. They had 73 times the risk. Let me say that again clearly, 73 times. Higher risk of death from diabetes compared to those eating the recommended amount of protein, even people eating what researchers called moderate amounts of protein, getting 10 to 19% of their calories from protein, still had 23 times the risk of diabetes death. Now, here's something important to understand. What the study called low protein was actually the amount that nutritional scientists recommend for optimal health, about 6 to 10% of calories from protein. For most people, this works out to around 50 grams of protein per day. The researchers unfortunately labeled this scientifically recommended amount as low, which created enormous confusion in the media. So we're not comparing truly low protein intake to normal amounts. We're comparing people eating far too much protein to people eating the amount that decades of research shows is optimal for human health. The results speak clearly. Following the established protein recommendations is associated with significantly lower rates of cancer and longer life during middle age. But here's where the story becomes truly fascinating. The research revealed something that changes everything we thought we knew about nutrition. Your body's protein needs fundamentally change at age 65. It's like your body follows a completely different set of rules once you reach this milestone age. while lower protein intake was associated with longer life at all ages when it came to diabetes, cancer risk actually reversed course around age 65. The same amount of protein that protected people in their 50s wasn't providing the same benefits in their 70s and 80s. This suggests that the optimal approach might be moderate protein intake during middle age, followed by higher protein consumption after 65. This flies in the face of the one-size-fits-all nutrition advice that most of us have followed our entire lives. Why does this dramatic change happen? As we age, our bodies undergo fundamental transformations. Our kidneys begin to work less efficiently, our muscle mass naturally starts to decline. Our digestive system processes protein differently. What protected us during our middle years may not be sufficient to maintain our health and vitality in our later decades. This has led many nutrition experts to suggest that older adults might need more protein than the standard recommendation that's been used for decades. However, definitive research published in major medical journals found no difference in basic protein requirements between young and old adults when it comes to meeting your body's fundamental needs. But here's the crucial distinction that often gets lost. Meeting your basic needs isn't the same as optimizing your health. And this is where things get complicated, because this is also where the food industry steps in with their own agenda. It's important to understand who's promoting the message that older adults need dramatically more protein. Much of this research has been funded and promoted by organizations like the Whey Protein Panel and consultants for the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. These aren't neutral scientific organizations. They're businesses with significant financial interests in selling more protein products. Their strongest argument centers on muscle mass. Studies do show that inactive individuals over 65 lose about 1% of their muscle mass every year. When older adults are forced to lie in bed due to illness or injury, they lose muscle mass 6 times faster than young people. This creates understandable fear and drives people to buy protein supplements and eat more meat. But here's what's truly interesting. A very similar study conducted in Japan found that age-related decreases in muscle mass were minimal. What was different about the Japanese participants? They were informed about their muscle strength results during the study, and many tried to improve their performance through exercise before their next examination. The competitive men in the study actually gained muscle mass as they got older. This proves that muscle loss with aging isn't inevitable. It's largely about the principle we've all heard: use it or lose it. And this appears to be true regardless of how much protein you're eating. The research backs this up in surprising ways. Studies funded by the American Egg Board itself showed that adding more egg whites to older adults' diets did not improve muscle responses to resistance training. Even the National Dairy Council couldn't dispute their own findings. Strength training improvements in body composition, muscle strength, size, and physical functioning were not enhanced when older people increased their protein intake through either food or supplements. So if eating extra protein doesn't help build muscle in older adults, what actually does work for maintaining strength and vitality as we age? The answer might surprise you. Vegetables. Medical research shows that consuming recommended levels of vegetables was associated with cutting the odds of low muscle mass essentially in half. But why would vegetables be more important than protein for maintaining muscle? It comes down to something called acid-base balance in your body. This might sound complicated, but it's actually quite simple to understand. Vegetables have alkalizing effects that help neutralize the mild acidity that naturally occurs in our bodies as we age. This small amount of extra acid appears to make it easier for muscle tissue to break down. As we get older, we develop what scientists call chronic low-grade acidosis for two main reasons. Our kidneys start to decline in function, and many of us eat diets that promote acid formation in our bodies. What creates dietary acid? Fish, pork, chicken, and cheese. Basically, animal proteins, especially when we're not eating enough fruits and vegetables to balance them out. Here's a crucial point that the protein industry doesn't want widely known. Beans and other legumes are the only major source of protein that actually alkalizes your body instead of making it more acidic. This makes them uniquely protective against age-related muscle loss. Research confirms this discovery. A more plant-based alkalizing diet was found to be positively associated with muscle mass in women aged 18 through 79 years old. The protective relationship held true across all age groups studied. This means that if you're going to increase protein consumption after age 65, plant-based proteins are preferable because they protect against frailty, while providing all the amino acids your body needs to maintain and build muscle tissue. The implications are profound. Regardless of your age, a diet emphasizing plant-based nutrition is likely to maximize your health benefits. But the specific amounts and timing of protein intake matter tremendously for optimal results. So what does all of this research mean for your daily meals? Let me give you clear, practical guidelines based on the scientific evidence. If you're under 65 years old, aim for 6 to 10% of your calories from protein. For most people, this works out to around 50 grams per day. Don't worry about being in what some people call the low protein category. This is actually the optimal range that's associated with the longest, healthiest lives. Focus on getting your protein from plant-based sources like beans, lentils, quinoa, nuts, and seeds. Make vegetables a major part of every meal to maintain the alkaline balance that protects your muscles and bones. If you're over 65, you may benefit from moderate to higher protein intake. But plant-based proteins are still preferable because of their alkalizing effects on your body. This doesn't mean you need expensive supplements or protein powders. Regular servings of beans, lentils, and other legumes throughout the day can easily provide what you need. Most importantly, resistance training becomes even more critical than the exact amount of protein you're eating. For everyone, regardless of age, beans and legumes should be protein staples. Try to minimize acid-forming animal proteins, especially processed meats like bacon, sausage, and deli meats. Focus on whole food sources rather than protein powders or supplements whenever possible. Remember that adequate protein is easily achievable on a plant-based diet without any special planning or combining of foods. The key insight is that this isn't just about hitting specific protein numbers. It's about choosing the right types of protein and supporting them with a nutrient-dense diet, rich in vegetables and fruits that help your body use that protein most effectively. This research teaches us something important about how we should approach nutrition science and health advice in general. The food industry often takes legitimate research and interprets it in ways that help them sell more products. The message that more protein is always better clearly benefits supplement companies and animal agriculture businesses. But it doesn't necessarily benefit your health. The truth is more nuanced and personalized. Optimal nutrition changes throughout our lifetime, and what protects us during middle age might need some adjustment as we get older, but the foundation remains the same. A diet rich in plants, adequate in protein from quality sources, and focused on overall dietary patterns rather than obsessing over isolated nutrients. The muscle mass research is particularly revealing about how we should think about aging. Physical activity matters more than protein intake for maintaining strength and function as we age. The Japanese study proves that staying active and maintaining a competitive spirit can actually reverse age-related muscle loss, regardless of how much protein you're consuming. This doesn't mean protein isn't important for your health. It means we need to think more intelligently about how much we need, what types are best, and when we should adjust our intake as we move through different life stages. The protein paradox teaches us that nutrition isn't one size fits all, and optimal health requires adapting our approach as we age and learn more about our individual needs. The research is clear. Moderate protein intake from plant sources, combined with plenty of vegetables and regular physical activity, provides the best foundation for long-term health and longevity. The most important takeaway is this: you don't need to make dramatic changes overnight. Start by adding more beans and vegetables to your meals. If you're over 65, consider whether you're getting enough protein, but focus just as much on staying physically active. If you're under 65, don't worry about eating large amounts of protein, and consider reducing animal proteins while increasing plant-based options. Remember, small, consistent changes in your daily habits can lead to significant improvements in your long-term health. The research we've discussed today represents thousands of people followed for decades, giving us confidence that these principles can help you live your healthiest, most vibrant life at any age. Your journey toward optimal health is unique to you, but now you have the scientific foundation to make informed decisions about one of the most important aspects of daily nutrition. Share your story in the comments below. Have you noticed changes in your energy or health when you adjusted your protein intake? If you're over 65, what has your experience been with different dietary approaches? And if you're caring for aging parents or grandparents, how has nutrition played a role in their well-being? Let's learn from each other and build a supportive community focused on aging well through smart nutrition choices. I read every comment and often respond personally, so don't be shy about sharing your thoughts, questions, or even your doubts about what we've discussed today.